Hello and welcome to my channel, Naughty Gnome Crafts. My name is Sarah and my channel is all about my love of textile crafts like sewing, knitting, spinning, and crochet. So if that sounds like that's up your alley, please keep watching. Today's video is going to be a brief overview of how I organize my sewing patterns. A few weeks back, I was watching a video by Michelle of Michelle Sews Again, and I do apologize that I keep bringing up her channel like every other video, but I just find her very inspiring, and so I hope that she doesn't mind. But she had posted a video about how she organizes her pattern stash using Trello, and it reminded me that I have a Trello account and that I'd opened up a few years ago and briefly tried it out, and it didn't really work for me. But after seeing her video, which I will link in the description box, it just made me want to try it again. So I worked very hard over the past month or so, to enter all of my patterns into Trello, and that actually spurred me on to organize my patterns in real life, my paper patterns that I have. So I'm just going to give you a little brief overview today of how that all worked out. Before I forget, I am wearing a handmade garment today. I'm wearing my Madelinetosh sock sweater. This is from a custom fit pattern. And I did talk about this sweater in my collection of handmade sweaters video that I did, so I will link that up in the cards in case you missed it. Okay, I think first I'm going to pull out my iPad and start screen recording, so fingers crossed that very shortly you will be seeing what I am seeing so we can kind of talk through the system together. Okay, so here is my pattern stash loaded into Trello. I think if I pull up this search bar, you will see that I have 1,110 cards, which sounds like an insane amount of patterns, I admit, but we'll get into that that's a little bit inflated. So I have things organized into categories. I have blouses, shirts, tees, sweatshirts, tanks, knit dresses, woven dresses, jumpsuits and rompers, pants, shorts, skirts, cardigans, jackets, vests, so on and so forth. And then basically from left to right, we get into the lesser categories that I don't have as many things, or I don't look at these as much. The ones that are more towards the left are the ones that I look at more. So what I have done is I have entered everything, all of my paper patterns, my big four. I've entered my PDF patterns that I've purchased. I've also entered free patterns that I've downloaded over the years. And so I'm trying to figure out how I want to talk you through this. So let's just pull up a card and take a look at the information that I include in when I write down for the cards. Sorry, I have all these Berta magazine patterns now. Let's see. Okay, so when I pull up the card, the information that I like to write down is how much I paid for the pattern, if I've sewn it before, where the pattern can be located, and I also include for my PDF downloads the link to my Amazon Drive so I can download the pattern if I need to, so that if I'm out and about or something, I can pull up that information if I need like yardage or something like that. And then I also do use the tags to kind of categorize things according to how I might want to search for them. And then for the images, I try to include one picture of the garment, and then I also try to include line drawings. So that's how I organize my patterns. So let me explain why the 1,000 whatever it was number is like inflated. So what I've done is, if a pattern in my stash has multiple types of garments, so if it's like a top and a dress, then I enter it under both, like say blouses and woven dresses, because if I'm searching for something, if I have a fabric or something in my stash and I'm trying to find what to make with it and I want to make a dress, then I want to just be able to flip through all my dresses and not have to remember like, oh yeah, I got this other pattern, but it's over in blouses. Like I just want it all to be in one category. So I do have some duplicates that way. You could also imagine that for the wardrobe patterns where you might have a dress, a skirt, a pair of pants, a jacket, I end up duplicating that one pattern, 5 or 6 times. So that's due part of the inflation. The other part of the inflation is due to the Berta magazine patterns, because I just went with their like Berta's numbering system, but often they would have like variations on the same pattern but call them different pattern numbers. So like, you know, you'll have your short sleeve version and your long sleeve version, and they're calling it two different patterns, whereas I personally would say that they're the same but just like different views. But I didn't want to get into like trying to reorganize Berta's numbering system, so I just went with what they had, and that also inflated the numbers as far as how many patterns that I have. Now, I don't want to make excuses for myself, because even though I don't actually have the 1,000-ish patterns that it says that I still have a lot of patterns. And one way that this new organizational system with Trello has really helped me is that because I have everything organized into categories, when I'm looking to buy new patterns, I will, if there's a sale or something, I'll like go to the website, look and see if there's anything that I want. And then before I click buy, I go into Trello and scroll through, you know, whatever type of garment that it is that I'm looking at to make sure that I don't already have something similar in my stash already. And that has actually saved me a few times, even within the month or so that I've been doing this. It has saved me from purchasing something that's not like a duplicate, but it's like really close to something that I already have. So in that way, it's already been really helpful. I'm trying to remember other things that I did. So with the Berta magazine patterns, so I subscribed to Berta like a couple different times in my life for like different varying time points. And so I have like, you know, a 2005 to 2006 subscription. And so I didn't enter all of the magazine patterns. Like I skipped all of the ones that were for men or for children or for plus size, because I'm just really unlikely to make any of those patterns. And in fact, I'm actually really unlikely to make any Berta patterns at all. But I went ahead and entered the women's patterns so that I could at least see that what was there. But the other ones, if for some reason I'm moved to make a men's pattern, I'll just go to the magazines and thumb through the magazines. But this way, by having the Berta magazine patterns in my Trello, again, if there's something that specific that I'm looking for, I just never remember to go to the issues, like physical issues of Berta, to flip through them to see if I have something that would work. Whereas this way, now it's in my pattern stash digitally, and I can just like scroll through and be like, oh yeah, that's actually really similar to what I was looking for. And then I could just go grab that issue and trace it out, theoretically. I think like the process of entering these things into Trello has actually sort of renewed my interest in Berta magazine patterns. As I said, at different times in my life, I've had a subscription, and I pretty much have used the magazine maybe a dozen times. But entering all of these patterns into Trello has kind of sparked my interest of like, oh yeah, I really like this, I really like that, to the point where I'm actually possibly considering doing like I don't know if I want to do a make 9. Like 9 seems like it might be too much, but like maybe like 6 or something, like next year in 2022, possibly choosing like 6 of patterns from Berta magazine and just saying like, I'm going to commit to making these 6 patterns sometime during the year. Just for fun, basically. Like I do like the designs, and like just as a way for me to actually utilize my subscription that I paid for and then like almost never used. So the Trello has been really good for that as well. Now, moving on to how I then reorganized my pattern stash in real life. So before I did the Trello thing, I had my patterns organized by garment type. So like all my dresses, all my tops, all my bottoms, etc., etc. And now that I have all of that information in Trello, I don't feel like I need to do that in real life. And so what I have done in the past couple of days is I've just dumped out all of my patterns out of the bins that they were in and just reorganized them by pattern company and then by number. So I have like all the Buttericks together in number order, all the Vogues, all the Quick Sews, etc., etc. And then for the indie patterns, I just have them alphabetized by pattern company name first, so like Helen's Closet. And then if I have multiple Helen's Closet patterns, which I do, then I organize them by her pattern name. So like Blackwood cardigan and then Reynolds top or whatever, you know, like I do them that way. And so that way I plan on using Trello when I'm doing my searches for when I'm looking to make something. I'm going to do all of that digitally. And so all I have to do is I've already found the pattern that I want to use. I can just quickly go to my physical stash, thumb through, all my buttericks or whatever it is, find the number that I need and pull it out. So I really think that this system is going to work well for me in terms of being organized and being able to find things easily. The problems that I was running into before is that I would get really lazy about putting things away in the correct places, and sometimes I wouldn't know where to put them because, like I said, the problem with, you have a Vogue, but it's a dress and a top. I'm like, well, do I put it with dresses or tops? And I wouldn't really know what to do, and then I'd go to find it again, and I'd be looking in the wrong place. This new system solves all of that, and so I'm just really happy that I took the time, even though it did seem like it took forever. I took the time to go ahead and organize my pattern stash in Trello, and I think that it is just going to be tremendously helpful to me in the future. And I'm already now that I have the bulk of my patterns in, it's already so much easier if I'm just buying a pattern or two at a time, just to go ahead and enter them as I go. So I think going forward too, it's going to be much smoother in terms of adding new patterns to my stash. Although, let's be honest, I really should not be adding new patterns to my stash that much. But I probably will. You know how it is. The other thing that I wanted to show you is, so I took some footage of my stash in its natural habitat and just kind of did a little, pan so that you could see what it looks like. But I just grabbed one of the bins just to show you a little bit extra of more detail of what I do. So I have here one of the simplicity bins. It's just, I got this from Target. I don't care about all of my organization being super pretty and looking the same. And so I have different bins that I've got at different times. I prioritize using stuff that I already have. And then if I run out, then I'll go ahead and buy something else. But I'm not that concerned about everything matching or anything. I have my patterns in here in, as I said, in number order, and I just leave them in the envelope when I have not cut into them yet. But after I actually make something, I put them in these Ziploc quart-sized bags. And for big fours, I just put the pattern cover on the outside so I can easily see the number. And for indie patterns, I just write with a Sharpie on the front, what the pattern company name is and what the pattern name is. I don't print out the pictures for PDF patterns because 99% of the time I remember what it looks like, but also because I could just go to Trello, and if I don't remember what it is, I can just look it up and be like, oh yeah, that's what that is. So I just don't bother. It's a waste of ink and paper to me to print out a picture for the PDF patterns. But anyway, I store all of my patterns in these Ziploc bags because I just find them really handy. You can seal them up so that you don't lose anything. It's just an easy and inexpensive way to contain your patterns. I don't like buying the paper envelopes, the manila envelopes that a lot of people use, because those can tear. Sometimes the paper is too thick and you're trying to shove it into the envelope and the envelope tears. Pretty much anything that you're going to print out, you can stick it in one of these Ziplocs and it's going to be fine. So that's why I use that system. Like I said, I know it's not the prettiest, and that a lot of people might not like my system because it's not very attractive, but I think that it is functional. So I just thought I would share that with you just in case you were interested. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I would love to hear in the comments from you guys how you organize your patterns, either digitally or in real life. I'm always looking for new ways and better ways to stay organized myself. So yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow.